What's up, man? How we doing? How's it going, man? What's up, man? How we doing?
How's it going, brother?
Oh, shoot. You got the YouTube audio coming through, too?
Is that coming through on my end?
Yeah.
What's up, man? How we doing?
How's it going, brother?
Oh, shoot. You got the YouTube audio coming through, too?
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm not getting audio from StreamYard.
Streamer?
If
Okay.
you want to roll with it, I could just turn this down.
I mean, I'm trying to think if you might not need audio because I'm not going to be.
From StreamYard.
Streamer?
If you
Okay.
want to roll with it, I could just turn this down.
Yeah, let me just see if I can. Or if you want to hop out. If you close the YouTube browser and then hop
Yeah,
out
let's roll
back
with
in
it.
here.
Whenever you're ready, I can share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead. See if I can. Or if you want to hop out, if you close the YouTube browser and then hop out back in here.
Whenever you're ready, I can share my screen.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm good to go whenever you're ready, brother.
All right, yes, sir. I'll leave you to it.
Real quick, I wanted to start off with the talk in my circle at least. Bitcoin, after what is it? I mean, we've been sitting in the same zone since February 20th. You know, this little zone I got marked out here about 59.5. It's kind of the neckline I've been looking at, this consolidation here, this big old structure. And it's been every time we try to get above it, every time we do get above it, it's just rejected immediately. And finally this morning, with a vengeance, we have broken above that range. And right now, I'm looking at a 4-hour chart for Bitcoin here. You haven't seen any signs of momentum waning, but on the RSI, you do see that it is overbought. I've kind of been looking at this 61,600 zone for, maybe a pullback, to back test this initial spring above that zone here. We topped out once, consolidated, came back up, and more than likely, we're going to come back down and give it a test again. That just confirms what was resistance is now support. Ultimately, for Bitcoin, the next zone I'm looking at is up here around 65.9 to 68.1. That's between the 1272 and the 1414 Fibonacci off of this bullish Gartley PCZ here. I took that the Fib retracement from the D to C level on the bullish harmonic. And it's also confluent with the 1618 from back here. I believe that is the XA leg on the bearish shark we had back here in February. So more than likely, I think this zone is going to be the next target once we do find support. We don't have to come back and test this zone again. In a really bullish environment, you might not get that. I do have a position. I got in down here at D. I took some profits when we came up to this neckline, and I'm waiting. Once we get either support down here or signs that we're going to continue upwards from here, I'm going to add to my position once again. And ultimately, I'm expecting to get up here. It is the final target on the bullish Gartley, which is the 1618 Fib retracement on this XA leg here. The first two targets would have been C and A, and ultimately, if it plays out, we're going to end up at about 71.8. That's also confluent with trend projections in this long-term bullish trend we've been in. Like I said, it's also confluent with some of these other areas on the Fib retracement from X and A back here. Another big one I've been seeing on Twitter. I don't know how many crypto people we got in the chat here. If you guys want to give me a heads up who invests in crypto, who's more into stocks. I'm going to cover a few of the ones that I'm going over, trades that I'm in. Fair disclosure, I am in a lot of these trades. Not all of them. I don't take every trade that I chart out, but it's stuff I reference for when a trader would have an edge. Like on Bitcoin here, I added to my position when we got over this neckline with support. And another one, I know it's a meme. It's a joke of a cryptocurrency, but Doge is another one that has been, everywhere. Everyone's talking about it. I had another target here that we hit at about 8 cents. My second target's been hit. My third target has been hit at 9.5 cents. And ultimately, on this chart, my next target would be about 10 cents. I'll probably take profit a little bit underneath 10 cents because of that psychological barrier, right? 10 cents is going to be a pretty serious number when it comes to, people taking profit. It is confluent with some of these fib zones up here. The 1272 up to the 1618. But I do have another target a little bit further up here at about 14 cents, which is the measured move of this initial impulse up here that we got back in January, the end of January. And once we have some kind of consolidation, some kind of support, whether it's price action support on horizontal support and resistance levels, or we get, obviously you could see on the 4-hour chart here, the RSI is way oversold, way overbought, I'm sorry. The MACD has not begun to start waning yet, but you could see we've already pulled back a little bit from this zone here. I wouldn't be surprised if we come down and test the top of one of my previous targets, which we're about in that zone now. If you want to look left here a little bit, we have this little neckline on the top of this structure. Almost always in trading, once you break a resistance, you're going to come back down, you're going to test it again just to confirm that what was once resistance is now support. We might not stop there. We might come back down and test the lower 8 cents area too. But until I get some sort of sign or more information on the oscillators here, I'm not adding to my position. I've still got my original position from, I believe, somewhere down in this zone. And this is something I've been watching for a while. I know Doge is a meme coin. It's ridiculous, whatever you want to call it. But I've got a greater theory when it comes to this, involving Elon Musk and what he's doing with the project. So I got in where there was easy to identify support and resistance. As a trader, that's what you're looking for. I know where I wanted to stop out down here, and I had targets in mind if we did break to the upside, and it was a little risk. So I played it, and we did good. I got a couple of those on my list, Parth. I'll go through plugs on my list. Workhorse, I haven't revisited recently, but I'll look at that one too. Apple's one that I brought up the last 2 Tuesdays that we've been doing this. We topped out. We hit the final area of this first target I had here, which is the 1414 Fibonacci Retracement. Ultimately, the next target I've got is 136. And again, I'm looking up here. This C would have been a target on this bullish harmonic here. But once we get up into that zone, I'm probably going to take profit and wait for a better edge to either add to my position or just get out of the trade for the time being. As a swing trader, I always have targets. I always have stop losses set up because I don't have, well, it's especially when the market's volatile. I like to, when I see a trade, I take the trade for what it's worth. Every trade, every formation, whether it's patterns, whether it's Fibonacci, however you trade, however you swing trade, there's always targets that identify themselves based on the information that you have. And Apple, this is going to be my zone to get out and reassess. And that's about 140 here, just to be safe. I like getting out underneath where all the congestion is going to be. It gives me peace of mind. I'm going to hit my targets. I might lose a couple bucks. Same thing with stops. Now and then I get stopped out of a trade, whether it's volatility, Martin, news-driven catalyst, whatever it is. If I'm confident in a trade, after I'm stopped out, I'll just get back in when the data presents itself that says that, my previous trade might now be valid. So Apple, I'm still in. I did scale back a little bit after the first target. It doesn't look like we're slowing down on the 4-hour chart just yet. From this zone to the bottom here, the C area, you've got hidden bullish divergence, implying that this trend is going to continue upward. You are oversold a little bit on the RSI. So with Apple, I'm probably, if we do come back down to an area of support that I have an edge, to add a new trade to this position, I might do that as well, because I am confident that we're going to end up testing at least this 136, 137 zone on Apple. Tesla is another one I scaled back a little bit today. Whether I'll regret it or not, I have yet to see. Tesla, I scaled back a little bit after hitting target 2. We have potential on this 4-hour chart. You have potential bearish divergence forming, but it's still forming. You are oversold on the RSI. I'm looking at this 715 area, perhaps, for a pullback. I don't know if we're going to come back down that far. Tesla's definitely got a lot of traction right now, but you do need some kind of pullback to reset the oscillators down here, especially the RSI. And that's why I took partial profit today, because as a trader, obviously, I'm looking for a way to better my position. And if I sell here and it does pull back, I'm going to add to my position at a lower price. That way, when we do continue on, and I believe we're going to continue on. It's my opinion. When we continue on, if we continue on, I will have a better average cost for Tesla. Excuse me. It's been a long day. He brought up Unity software before I came on. It's historical resistance and support back here from the fall. And like he said, the stock just seems to have bottomed out. Between this zone and this zone here, you had bullish convergence on the MACD, which would imply a continuation to the upside. Arguably, you could almost look at this structure here coming off the PCZ as, it's maybe a complex inverse head and shoulders. I looked at it as you've got this low down here, you've got a higher low, yet again, potential 3 rising valleys, a bullish dragon, you could say. This would be the spine coming down here. Whatever the case may be, so far, so good on Unity software. The RSI still looks good. Still got room on the RSI. The MACD hasn't slowed down yet. So far, so good. We might pop above this zone and retest somewhere in this area to confirm that this resistance has been turned into support after we broke above it. Microsoft's another one. This one's starting to get to the top of the zone that I'm looking at. I'm looking up here at 263 as the 100% measured move of this structure down here. We hit first target early February. And again, I set up that area as another target once we popped back above this neckline here, dating back to the end of last summer, right? You got this nice higher lows implying accumulation. You got a down sloping supply line, which did break in the end of January. And again, this is a zone up here at 263. I'm going to take profit at and reassess. So far if you look down here on the 4-hour MACD, this negative momentum is still waning. It means there's less negative momentum pulling this asset down. You're oversold on the RSI, which if I was looking for a pullback, you could look down here about 250, whether we retest that area or not, but it would make sense because that is resistance back at the end of January, middle of February, and again, that's the zone we just got done breaking earlier this month, last week actually. But we did give it a retest after breaking above that zone, so we might just find support here on the 1272 fib retracement at 254, and once we get a clear identification of support in this area, I will probably be adding to my position to hit this last leg. And again, something I'm going to be looking for is this RSI to cool off a little bit. It's definitely overbought. But as you can see, a trend across the market. It's a very bullish market right now. I've had a lot of plays coming through with success in crypto and in the stock market. Another one I'm looking at, I added to my position yesterday and a little bit Friday, anticipating some weekend action when it came to Bitcoin, which was a pretty lackluster, and that's kind of been the story with Bitcoin lately. But once we get above that zone, that neckline that we've been in the last couple months, I'm expecting much higher prices. And GBTC is trading now at about $55. I kind of reference back and forth between GBTC and Bitcoin almost as an indicator. You know, sometimes GBTC lags behind, and if you compare the price action between the two, sometimes it'll give you a better edge. But on GBTC, we have gotten above this zone at 53-ish. It's the top of this structure here. We have kind of given it a little back test, testing what was resistance as support once again. The RSI is getting a little bit hot down here, but we haven't shown any waning in the MACD. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, we give a little bit more confirmation of support in this area as this RSI cools down. I will be adding to my position once we get an edge to take a new trade, because I am expecting to hit, looks like about $60 here, which is just under the 1618. And ultimately, in time, I do think we're going to be coming up to this $70 zone eventually, which is using fib retracements on this impulse up here. That would be a zone that's confluent with the fib retracements on this one as well. So Nvidia's an absolute rock star. Coming back to March 25th, we bottomed out. The C to D leg on this bearish harmonic, you could see was an old zone of resistance, support. When we came back down to this area, at the same time, you could see we had an edge on the MACD, which is hidden bullish divergence, which means the price action's coming down. Or I'm sorry, that's actually convergence. Where is it? Anyway, getting back to Microsoft here, I'm looking for a pull, or Nvidia here. I'm looking for a pullback, maybe to the 612 area. This is the PCZ of a bearish harmonic, which would imply that we're going to get some sort of pullback, whether it's down to 580 or to 612, or maybe this lower 600 area, where we've got this last engulfing candle coming off of this pullback here. I'm expecting a pullback, and I will be adding to my position on this one as well, because I am looking for higher prices up here towards 650. Nvidia's been in the news with a lot of positive news, revenue news. They are also benefiting from the recent Bitcoin price action because they make GPUs, and Bitcoin, or not Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency miners use GPUs in a lot of different mining to mine a lot of different assets, including Ethereum. So they have been benefiting from that, and Ethereum's another one that's been going up. GHIV I can look at too. I'll take a break from these. I'll hit a couple of these requests real quick. Mara we haven't looked at. I'll run that one up real quick here because that's one I do have charted, and this is a trade I am in at this time. So the way I've been looking at Mara, we had this initial impulse up from the end of March, came back down, retested what was once resistance as support. I added to my position in this area, as you could see. I did take profit, which is the 1414 off this C to D leg here. I am expecting to see some higher levels on this asset. You know, it has had a nice run. We might start to come back down, retrace a little bit, but nothing implies that on the oscillators just yet. If you're looking at the MACD is implying positive price action. The RSI is in a very healthy area for some higher numbers. It's just falling underneath this. I've got this RSI. It's like a moving average. It is falling underneath that, but this is also a zone for Mara that the RSI likes to come back down to before it moves back up. Same way that you would back test a spring. RSI kind of does that as well. So I did take a little bit of profit on Mara, but I'm leaving some of my position in because I do think we're going to retest, especially if Bitcoin continues the upward trend, which I believe is going to be the case, at least for the short term time being and the long term. I do expect a test up here at about 56, 57 again. And if we do break above that, I would be looking up towards 65 and 68. And until I get some kind of information on oscillators telling me that that's not going to be the case, I'm leaving part of my position intact until we do hit these numbers, or at least give them a test and get rejected. Riot's one that goes along with that as well, and I do have a chart for that one. Riot I like a little bit more right now than Mara because I think there's a little bit more room to move. The end of March we came up earlier this month. Last week we tested this 56 level, got rejected, which it is previous resistance in the history of this asset looking left, but we have now broken above it. As you can see, I wouldn't be surprised if we come back down and test it once again because it was resistance, and if it's support now, we'll give it a retest. before we move up to these higher levels. I think my next major target for Riot's going to be this zone up here at about 66, which is the C of this bullish harmonic. I'm looking left here. Plug, Parth mentioned Plug earlier, and that's one that I've been in today. I tried to take a trade on Plug back here after seeing this double bottom, and I did get stopped out. But if you look over here, Plug is now entering another historical zone of support and resistance. If it does come all the way down here to about 25.87, that would be a nice confirmation of this bullish harmonic. That is a deep crab, which the retrace on this C to B area is going to be the 3.618 Fibonacci retracement. I don't know if we're going to hit that zone. I did start my position again on Plug because of these candles down here. If I could catch my breath. If you look down here, you know, we caught resistance at 38, made our way all the way back down underneath this zone here, and we've got a piercing line, bullish reversal, but it looks like we might have caught a rejection off that 29.42 area. But I still got hope because RSI is very low, pointed upward. On the MACD here, on the 4-hour chart, from this point to this point, we are showing some relief from the negative momentum, heading upwards until we start to get some green, until we start to get positive momentum in there. I'm not ruling this 25.50 zone out just yet, but this nice engulfing candle after this doji here definitely gives me optimism. Watching the time and sales and the level 2 today on Plug, I'm not the only one who's confident that this asset may be turning around. A lot of volume coming in. TSM, Patrick, I'll take a look at that one now. This is not one I've got charted out, but I do like the look of it in this area. Just look at some major levels here. All right, so this zone down here is an area where you would expect a possible turnaround, and you can see we bounced back above it, retested 113, what was once support. We tested it again as support, and we've got this initial bounce up here. Which we did a Fibonacci retracement. I've got my fibs reversed. It's just my style. But it's a Fibonacci retracement from this correction back upward. These are some zones that I would watch on the way back up. And as you can see, we came up to the 618, came back down, which you could look at this as retesting what was once resistance as support. Again, I would like to see it stay above that level. But as long as it stays out of this area down here, I think you're going to continue to see some higher prices. Looking at the MACD, you do have bullish divergence on the MACD. Price action is coming down. If you look down on the MACD, negative momentum is waning, which would imply a reversal of this correction coming down from 128. So as far as the MACD is concerned, we're looking for some higher prices as of right now. The RSI, same thing. As long as the RSI keeps heading up, you've got bullish convergence down on the RSI. which would imply just a continuation of this this impulse up. If I was looking for some targets on TSM, the 618 would be a target once again. I'd probably look at this 786, which is about 135. And again, conservatively, you could look at 143 would be the complete reversal of this correction. But if you were being conservative with that target, I would call this resistance here at 139. If I was taking profits up in this area, I would take it before we got into this zone, because it did break above that, but you didn't get a lot of support at that level. So I would look at that as the top on this asset, an area that you might want to take some profits, because if we do come up to this area, we could very well hit it. Traders will come in, take profits, and then we could retrace back down to 134, which would be giving a back test to historical support and resistance. If you want to look higher than that, you could look at the 1618. And the one thing I did not mention is this zone down here would have been the best place you could have gotten into this asset, but anything above here I do like, because this is a bullish harmonic itself. This is a cipher pattern, which the entry on a cipher pattern, if you were playing the bullish harmonic, would be down here at the D point. But for targets, same thing. If you were looking for targets on the cipher pattern, you'd be looking at 136 and 142, respectively. Did the day chart, reform a pennant. EBON's one I actually posted a little bit earlier today on my Twitter at Trade Nomadic. I usually post a lot of these plays, never advice. I just read these charts and I just chart them out. I don't give trading advice, but this is an asset that I did take a chance on. This is another one I think I tried to enter in up here. I got stopped out, but my stop was really tight. I think it was underneath this wick here. But I have entered again. They did have a news release on Benzinga Pro this morning to all the shareholders, talking about some of their business, some of the ways they've been conducting business, some of the things they've been doing in the background. They released that because of Hindenburg released a short report on this asset, calling them a fraud, this and that, and it really drove this asset down. You could see we were starting to get some positive price action up here, and I think this is when the report came out. So they released that report a little bit early to help investors feel a little bit more secure holding on to their positions in this company. And as you could see, at this D point, which is also in, this accumulation zone down here, historical resistance and support, you have gotten a reaction. You've gotten a reversal at 467. I was taking profits on my position here. I would be looking up at the 382 Fibonacci first, between 762 and 833. That's an area that I would expect. You could see there's a lot of congestion here, a lot of resistance at that 833 zone. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be an area that other traders might take profit. Ultimately, I would be looking at about 1150 to 1225 is another area to take profits, because I do think we're going to have some resistance coming into this $13 zone. But if you zoom out a little bit, I love this chart, because this whole chart, this is a classic Wyckoff accumulation formation. This type of formation, it's the way to look at it is it's an accumulation zone, right? You're getting a lot of big money coming in. You know, every time we get up to this supply zone right up here, you're getting sell-offs and reaccumulation down here. Once this structure breaks, if EBON does break to the upside of this structure, I think you're going to see a really accelerated, drastic markup, because this implies that there's a lot of accumulation going on. Somebody is acquiring a massive position. They're, you know, selling off at this resistance zone up here. And if we do break out of this structure, that means, you know, the people acquiring their positions have acquired their position, and they're going to start marking up the prices. So it's one I'm keeping an eye on. You know, I like this area down here because there's easy to identify risk to reward, right? You know, if it does retrace lower than this D point, let me zoom in a little bit here. If we did retrace underneath about 440, I would probably get out until I have a reason to get back in. The bottom of this zone would be 394, and I think that's the lowest, just about the lowest area, or the lowest price this asset has had. I think the lowest is 377. But if we break down into the zone again, I'll probably get out until I get some more information. RSI's got plenty of room to run, and you could see there was definitely a reaction on RSI at this D point, which would give more credibility that this structure is valid. And same thing with the MACD. The MACD still got positive momentum printing. Until this starts to wane a little bit, I don't see any reason to be bearish at all on this asset. You know, you are going to want to see this continue for a while. Otherwise, you will form a bearish divergence on these two MACD peaks here. But you might see, you've got this initial reaction. And a lot of the times on bearish harmonics like this, you're going to see an initial spring, you know, maybe up to the 236 at 639. And then you're going to see a back test. You're going to see a confirmation low that says, yep, this is the bottom. This is where, you know, swing traders will enter positions for some of these higher zones. That 959 area is probably going to be an important zone. You can see it's had a reaction to that zone a couple times. Resistance, support, resistance at 950-ish. If you want to look at the candle closes on that area, I would probably set a profit. I'd probably take profit about 920 to 930, just because of these candles over here. What was the next one? GHVI. I have looked at that asset before. I'm not in it currently, but I do like this chart a lot. And let me tell you why here. GHVI. So if you look left on this asset, very early price action shows resistance at 1271. And then over here, you've found some support at about, well, you've got support in this early history of the asset too at about 1182. And you could see right now, we're kind of hopping on top of it, right? And if we zoom in a little bit closer, what I'm seeing is you've got, you know, your initial bottom here. Now you've got a higher low. Oops. Got a higher low, and whether we come back down to retest 1271 again, looking at the MACD until this negative momentum starts to wane, I would assume we're probably going to put in a double bottom here at 1278, which as long as it doesn't break back down into this zone, that would be really bullish to me, because it's confirming that what was once resistance is now support, not once, but twice, which is awesome. And I'm going to see. See, I'm kind of looking at this impulse over here as some sort of harmonic structure, but you know, with these, a lot of the times, the giveaway to some of these harmonics is you'll see these big wicks coming off of the price action, and sometimes they'll give the harmonic away. Oh, almost a shark. But for targets on the upside of this one, on GHIV, I would probably look at give me 1 second here. I'd probably have my eye on this 1780 zone. Actually, if you look left here, you've got an old resistance at about 1760, and then you've got a support just underneath it at 1610. So first target would be in that zone. I would probably look about 1750. The targets, if this harmonic structure was valid, you would be looking for looks like between 2260 and 25 as a potential zone that you might have people come in and take profits. But again, I would also follow a lot of this, the Fibonacci retracement levels, because you will see the price action when you're looking at bigger time scales, like the 4-hour or the daily charts. You will see price action at most of them. You know, whether it's consolidation, whether it's resistance or support. But I like this one. This is one I am actually going to add to my watch list. I do want to see some sort of confirmation that this is going to be our new support level, that we found a bottom. But I do like this structure. You've got a supply line coming down like this. You know, it's almost a bullish dragon formation. But I'd look for some confirmation. You might come back down and retest this D zone, but I don't think that's going to happen. But until this the negative momentum on the MACD starts to wane, I wouldn't rule it out. The RSI looks like it might be trying to turn around a little bit. And technically, no. It's kind of a reach, but you could argue that there's bullish divergence on the RSI. You know, you've got this low, second low in the same zone, but the RSI is going up just a little bit. So that's positive. If I missed anybody's request, just toss it in the chat one more time for me. The MACD on GHVI. If you start to see waning on this negative momentum here, then yeah, then you'll be able to confirm. You've just got to get confirmation on this MACD that the negative momentum is waning. It is starting to, you know, turn positive. That would be your confirmation. Right here, you've got bullish divergence coming down from this zone right here to this zone. Price action was still coming down, but you've got the MACD, but that's already played out, and not a lot came from that. So, I mean, this is the zone you want to watch over here on the MACD. If you start to get this negative momentum waning, that's definitely going to be positive, and that would imply that there's going to be a continuation to the upside. Yeah, because this could end up, if this MACD starts to wane, that would imply hidden bullish divergence here, which is a continuation to the upside with the price action. CCIV. As far as, I haven't heard any news about CCIV. That's one that has been in my, I thought I had a different chart for this. This is one I actually was going to enter over here. I got stopped out pretty quick. I thought we were going to retest 2266 as support, and we ended up falling out. But with all trades that I get stopped out, I do reassess them when I'll set an alert. For CCIV, I would be looking to get back above 2264. I would set an alert for that, because if this does start to break to the upside of that area, I would definitely be interested in CCIV again. Looking at the MACD here, I was going to say it's almost bullish divergence, but you do see the MACD is starting to lose momentum to the downside. The price action is moving up a little bit too. It's not reflected as much on the price action as it is on the MACD, but if you went from that negative histogram over here, just above that 2266, down to here, it would make sense if the MACD starts to turn around in this zone. The RSI, you could almost say it's Class C bullish divergence on the RSI. You can, you double bottomed on the RSI, but even though you double bottomed on the RSI, the price has made a higher low, which would imply that there's going to be a continuation, impending price action continuation to the upside. And if it does break above that 2266 zone, I'd probably look at 2450-ish first, probably 24.25. And then again, up here, I think this is going to be an important zone at about 27.25 too. If you look at historical price action on CCIV, I think between these two zones here is going to be an area where traders might take profit on the asset, just because you do have old support, resistance, and then again, you've got resistance over here. So that would be a first target on CCIV. This asset suffered a lot from this just ridiculous markup, early February when they were announcing the merger. And unfortunately, because of how extended it got, it suffered. Once that momentum to the downside really built up, the asset suffered for it. And I think you're starting to see traders come back in down in this lower $20 zone that we're in now, because it is an old area of support and resistance dating back to the end of January. You're seeing traders come in. The negative momentum is waning a little bit. If that continues, if this trend continues, I think we'll see some upside to CCIV pretty quickly here. Yeah, I would also keep an eye on the 28 zone as a potential area that profits taken, just above that zone I mentioned earlier. Workhorse, AMD. AMD I've already got charted out, so I'll go to that one first, and then I'll do Workhorse. AMD is one that I am in. I like AMD because you can see if we come back to the beginning of March, you've got this historical support zone. It was once resistance back here. After we broke above that, you could see on the MACD, you had bullish convergence, implying that this trend upward was going to continue, and it did. We did break this supply line dating back to the end of January, coming down here. I think yesterday, with the positive news from Nvidia, the chip shortage stuff, I think AMD suffered a little bit from that. You know, people who are playing that specific sector, whether it's GPUs specifically, big tech, whatever it is, you know, AMD was well on its way, and it did come crashing down. I managed to get a target out of it at 83.60. And looking at the MACD, where we're at right now, you've got the MACD making lower levels of negative momentum, while at the same time, the price is still marking up. At this point, at about $78, that's going to be a support zone. And historically, that's been respected before. And this is hidden bullish divergence, which implies continuation to the upside. So we've got that first target out of the way. The next area that I'm looking at for AMD would be whether it's this horizontal resistance at 86 or the 618 fib retracement, which has been respected a few times here. In this zone, I'm expecting profits to be taken, and I would probably take profit at about 89.23. I am going to leave some in AMD. I do like AMD. I've been trading AMD for years, and I like the sector. But when we get up here, I will be looking for confirmation from the oscillators. Right now on AMD, you also have bullish divergence on the RSI. RSI is making lower lows and actually bottomed out in this zone here, while the price action was still going up. So yeah, I mean, until there's any new information on the oscillators or price action, I think AMD is going to break this supply line again. Hopefully find support above 79.92 and then test some of these higher levels. If you look back here, I like this horizontal resistance at 86 because you can see once we identified that as resistance, it came all the way back down here, no stops, just all the way down one shot. So now that we found support, I would expect to go retest that zone again. That's going to be an area that traders set it up. Palantir, Skynet. Palantir is one that I'm in. I haven't brought it up today, but I do like Palantir. If you take a look at, I identified this area personally as an area of support and resistance. You got this double bottom here at the end of March. We hop back above that support level at about 22.30. You know, you consolidated, accumulated a little bit sideways for the last week or so. And now we've broken above another zone that I like, that has been respected time and time again in the history of this asset at 24.46. And if you look closely, we sprung and you almost got a little back test of it on this last 4-hour candle here. But you might see some price action settling above 24.46. That's what I would like to see. If you look at The MACD's still got positive momentum. Until that starts to wane out a little bit, I wouldn't count on coming back down here to test it just yet. You know, we might come up and test the top of this zone at 27.67. And to see if that's still resistance. If we break through that, I would expect to see some higher prices. One of my targets is going to be up here at the A and the C of this bullish harmonic here, which brings you up to about, I think I set it up about 43 and 37, but you do have a lot of chop to break through before you're going to see levels that high. But so far, until we have, you know, different information on the oscillators, Palantir still looks good to go. It is starting to get into an overbought zone on the RSI, but not yet. And again, the MACD hasn't started to give up just yet either. But above 24.40 is going to be the zone that I would expect to see support found before moving up to higher prices. And yeah, I'm in Palantir. I like this one a lot. It's got, you know, quite a markdown on the price. I mean, we were up the end of January at 44 and 39, and momentum is starting to build back to the upside. And this asset was on sale and has been on sale for quite some time. It's given a lot of time. You can see the volume even. Volume kind of slumped down, starting to round back up. And especially the last 4 hours, got a lot of volume coming in, starting to pick up. So this might be, I mean, it's still an area that you could enter this trade and still identify reasonable stop losses. I would give this one some room, but if I hadn't entered this trade yet, I would wait until you get some sort of confirmation. Workhorse. I'm sorry, I forgot that one. My brain is all over the place today. It's been an exciting day, and Workhorse kind of looks exciting to me right now. All right, so if we look over here, and this is last summer, you've kind of got this zone here. So if we're looking at historical zones on the asset, I would want to see Workhorse get above 1328. If I wasn't in a trade on Workhorse, that would be a number that I would kind of want to, I'm going to move that up. We're still kind of in a support zone, but 1328-ish, 1320, that's going to be an area that would confirm that we're going to start moving up for me. As long as Workhorse stays above 1241, I like it. You've got support over here, end of February. You've got, you know, it's kind of a little zone down here that you keep bottoming out on and getting a reaction to the upside. If I was going to take a trade on Workhorse, like I said, I would want to get above this area. And you kind of got a supply line coming down here, which it looks like it's breaking out of a little bit. I mean, it's a little premature, but it's attempting to get on the outside of this supply line coming down here. The MACD, if we look at the MACD, I do like that. You've got negative momentum waning. You've got positive momentum starting to form in this last 4 hours here. And if you're looking over here, coming down to this 1241 zone we were talking about, you do have bullish divergence. You've got price action coming down. The RSI bottomed out between these 2 points while the price action was still coming down, which means you're gonna start, it's a continuation sign. It's a continuation indicator. It's hidden bullish divergence. You've got convergence on the MACD as well. And if we do start to see some positive price action on Workhorse, this is definitely a trade I would probably look at taking a position in myself. But I do want to see some confirmation. I want to get out of this little zone we're in down here. And if we do, I would probably look to about 1691 as a potential place to take profit. And if you wanted to catch a little bit of profit safely, another zone I might look at, it's right around the 236 retrace, is this area right here where you've got clear resistance. You've got resistance. What was once support is now resistance. So until we get above that, that's going to be a zone that traders might take profit because it's a historical resistance zone. If we do get above that, and ultimately if we get above that 786 fib at 1810, you could see a lot of upside on Workhorse, but it's something you got to be patient, because until you get confirmation, we are going to, right now the oscillators are saying that we're going to start seeing a markup on this asset. You could almost argue that you've got bullish divergence on the MACD as well. Price coming down, negative momentum waning, which so far right now, this would be a good entry for a trade if you were going to take one, because you can identify your bottom, right? If Workhorse gets underneath that 1230 area, I'd want to get out. That's not something I'd want to be in, because the oscillators are telling you that there's bullish divergence here. Both of them. They're both implying that this asset is going to turn to the upside, and it has broken this supply line, which it is probably back testing right now. So if you broke below this area, then my whole reason for taking this trade would be invalidated, and I would want to stop out until I've got another reason to take the trade personally. But right now, I would say bullish. Workhorse looks good like this. Even though we're still in this zone down here, it's still an area where you've got an edge, because you're right near this would have been your entry point at about 1230, like we said, and it's trading at about 1290. So even though we're not out of this zone right now, you still have an easy to identify stop loss. If it falls underneath that, you get out and just wait. But if we're looking for some of these higher prices, I would definitely consider getting above 1361. That would be a pretty good indication that we might see some of these higher targets as well in the Fibonacci retracement. SPCE, I haven't looked at that one in a while, but I could check it out. If I was gonna quick identify some zones. I was looking for an entry on SPCE. You could be in an area for an entry as far as price action goes. You're not going to want to get back below 26.15, because technically over here, if you look left, you've got a resistance at 27.49 up here, which is something you're going to have to break, but you found support back here March 8th at 2607. So if we fall back below that, you might be coming down to 2378 and, you know, potentially double bottoming here. The 4-hour MACD, the positive momentum is waning a little bit. I personally want to see, you know, a sign that positive momentum is on the way. RSI, if you're looking at the RSI, you might have a better argument there, because you could look at, again, this area as a potential double bottom. And even though the price action double bottomed, the RSI at the same time is moving up, which would be Class C bullish divergence, which is a continuation pattern. It implies that you're going to see, you know, a markup to the upside. But I'd like to see some kind of indicator on the MACD. You know, right now it shows positive momentum is waning. So, but as long as you stay above this 2630 zone, I think you're in good shape, even if it trades sideways a little bit, until we, you know, identify this as for sure this is our new support, and we kind of put in that bottom, you know, then traders will start to take long positions. And if I was taking a long position on SPCE, well, first and foremost, I would look at 32.95. That's an area where we double topped over here. Obviously, it's been resistance here, resistance in this choppy zone, and it's also the 236 fib. So potentially that's an area that traders are going to take profit. If you were looking for a level up from that, 35.96, and I like the 618 retracement as a higher target as well. I can look at NEO. NEO's on my list. If I run over time, you guys just hop in. I mean, I'm more than happy to look at a few more of these charts.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to knock out a few more charts, by all means.
NEO's one I'm in. Well, I can't hear you. Remember that.
I know. Right here.
If we're calling it quits, I'm ready to go too. NEO, so far we hit this first price target at 41.39. Looks like we found support again at 37.58. My next price target up, 44.61. You've got support, resistance, again, resistance. That's probably an area where traders will take profit. And that's an area that I'd be doing the same. After that, I like 45.50 and 50.12. Is that my cue? I can't hear you. I'm gonna have to get this thing figured out over here. But yeah, if you guys have any more requests, I am on Twitter at Trade Nomadic, and I do the show every Tuesday, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. If you guys can hit the likes, do all that fun stuff for me, I appreciate it. And thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, we'll be back tomorrow for tomorrow 8 a.m. some pre-market prep. See you then.